Marcus Bennett stood in his corner office on the 50th floor of the Bennett Industries building, staring out at the New York skyline. His Italian suit felt tight around his neck, and he loosened his tie. Another late night at the office. The board meeting had gone longer than expected, and now it was nearly midnight. He picked up his phone to call his driver, but remembered George had taken the week off for his daughter's wedding. Marcus sighed and looked at his watch. He needed to get home and prepare for tomorrow's merger presentation. "Guess I'll have to catch a cab," he muttered to himself, grabbing his briefcase. The security guard nodded as Marcus walked through the lobby. "Working late again, Mr. Bennett. You know how it is, Joe. The work never stops." Outside, the autumn air was crisp. Marcus pulled his coat tighter and walked to the curb, raising his hand to hail a passing yellow cab. The car pulled up smoothly and he opened the door, sliding into the back seat. "Good evening. 75th and Park, please." "Sure thing," the driver replied, and Marcus froze. That voice, it couldn't be. He leaned forward, looking at the driver's ID displayed on the dashboard. Angela Washington. His heart stopped. 25 years melted away in an instant. Suddenly, he was back at Columbia University, sitting next to the most beautiful girl he'd ever seen in his Economics 101 class. Angela, with her bright smile and quick wit. Angela, who had tutored him through statistics. Angela, who had stolen his heart that spring semester of their sophomore year. Angela. His voice came out barely above a whisper. The cab swerved slightly before straightening. In the rearview mirror, he caught her eyes widening with recognition. Marcus Bennett. Well, I'll be damned. The years had been kind to her. Her hair was shorter now, styled in neat braids, and there were a few laugh lines around her eyes, but her smile was exactly as he remembered it. I can't believe it's you," Marcus said. "How long has it been?" 25 years. Give or take a few months. Angela turned smoothly onto Park Avenue. "Last time I saw you was graduation day, 1999. The memories came flooding back. Their secret relationship that had lasted almost 2 years. Study sessions that turned into long talks about their dreams. Stolen kisses in the library stacks. And then the painful end when reality had crashed into their college romance. Angela, I've thought about you so many times over the years. What happened to you? Last I heard you were heading to law school." She laughed, but there was a touch of sadness in it. "Life had other plans. Got pregnant my first year of law school. Michael came first, so I had to drop out. Been driving cabs ever since. It pays the bills." Marcus felt like someone had punched him in the gut. "You have a son. He's 24 now. Just finished his master's in engineering." The pride in her voice was unmistakable. "Single mom, but we made it work." The cab stopped at a red light and Angela turned to look at him properly. "And look at you, CEO of Bennett Industries. I see your name in the business section all the time. Married, divorced, 10 years now, no kids." He didn't mention how his marriage to Catherine had been more of a business merger than a romance arranged by their families to combine 2 corporate empires. "The company keeps me busy. Still working too hard, I see. Some things never change." The old teasing tone in her voice made his heart skip a beat. How many times had she scolded him for studying too late, dragging him away from his books to get pizza at their favorite spot near campus? "Do you remember Tony's Pizza?" he asked suddenly. "On 116th Street. "Of course I do. Best slice in Morningside Heights. You used to order pepperoni and mushroom," they said together, and both laughed. The cab pulled up in front of his building, and Marcus found himself not wanting to get out. "Angela, would you like to get coffee sometime, catch up properly?" There was a long pause in the mirror. He could see her wrestling with the decision. "I don't know, Marcus. That was a long time ago. We're different people now. Please. Just coffee as old friends." She pulled out a small notepad and wrote something down. "Here's my number, but I want you to think about something first. Remember why we ended things back then. Your family, my background, all those complications, they haven't gone away. If anything, the gap between our worlds is even bigger now." Marcus took the paper, his fingers brushing against hers. The same spark he'd felt 25 years ago shot through him. I'm not the same naive college kid anymore, Angela. And I don't care about any of that now, she smiled, but it was guarded. We'll see. Give me a call if you still want that coffee after you've thought it through. Marcus stepped out of the cab, watching as it pulled away into the night traffic. He looked down at the paper in his hand, Angela's neat handwriting bringing back memories of study notes and love letters passed in class. Up in his penthouse apartment, he walked past the expensive furniture and floor-to-ceiling windows without seeing them. His mind was 25 years in the past, remembering their last conversation. His father's threats to cut him off, her pride and refusal to be the reason he lost his inheritance, their tearful goodbye at graduation. He pulled out his phone and saved her number, then poured himself a drink. Tomorrow he had to present a billion-dollar merger to the board. But all he could think about was the way Angela's eyes still crinkled when she smiled. In her cab, Angela sat at a red light, her hands shaking slightly on the steering wheel. Of all the fares in New York City, it had to be Marcus Bennett who got into her cab tonight. She touched her chest, feeling her heart racing beneath her uniform shirt. She thought about her small apartment in Queens, the bills piling up on her kitchen table, her son's student loans. A world away from Marcus' life of penthouses and board meetings. But when she'd heard his voice for just a moment, she was 19 again, falling in love with a boy who saw past her scholarship status and hand-em-down clothes. The light turned green, and Angela pushed thoughts of Marcus aside. She had 3 more hours on her shift, and rent was due next week. She couldn't afford to get lost in old memories, no matter how sweet they were. But as she drove through the glittering city streets, she couldn't help wondering if he would really call. Marcus couldn't sleep that night. He kept looking at Angela's number in his phone, remembering how it felt to see her again. When his alarm went off at 6 o'clock, he'd barely closed his eyes. His sister Rebecca called while he was getting dressed. "Are you ready for the board meeting?" she asked. "Dad's going to be there." Marcus paused in the middle of tying his tie. "Dad's coming. He hasn't been to a board meeting in 5 years. Well, it's a big merger and you know how he gets when anything involves the Whitmore family." Marcus did know. Richard Bennett had been trying to merge with Whitmore Technologies since before Marcus was born. Now that it was finally happening, of course, the old man would come out of retirement to watch. "Just don't let him take over," Rebecca warned. "You're the CEO now, not him." After hanging up, Marcus looked at Angela's number again. Before he could talk himself out of it, he pressed call. "Hello." Her voice was sleepy. "Angela, I'm sorry. Did I wake you?" "Marcus." She sounded more alert now. "It's 6 o'clock in the morning." "I know. I'm sorry. I couldn't wait. Would you have coffee with me today after my board meeting?" There was a pause and he held his breath. "You really don't waste time, do you?" He could hear the smile in her voice. "I have to pick up my son from the airport at 4 o'clock. He's coming home for a visit, but I could meet you at 2 o'clock. 2 is perfect. There's a coffee shop called Blue Cup on Madison Avenue." "Blue Cup?" Angela laughed. "Marcus, I can't afford their $5 coffee. How about the diner on 82nd Street? Marcus felt his face heat up. "Of course. Sorry. The diner is perfect." After they hung up, he stared at his reflection in the mirror. What was he doing? He had the biggest meeting of his career in 3 hours, and all he could think about was Angela. The board meeting started at 9 o'clock. Marcus sat at the head of the long table, watching as the members filed in. His father came in last, looking exactly the same as always in his perfectly pressed suit. "Marcus," Richard Bennett said, shaking his hand firmly. "Big day, Dad. Glad you could make it." James Whitmore sat across from them, his daughter Victoria beside him. She smiled at Marcus, flipping her blonde hair over her shoulder. They'd known each other since they were children, and there had always been hints from both families that they should get together. "Let's begin," Marcus said, standing up. He started his presentation about the merger, but his mind kept wandering to his afternoon plans. Halfway through, his father interrupted. "What about the Asian market? Have you considered?" "I was getting to that, Dad." Marcus tried to keep his voice steady. If you'll let me continue. Richard sat back, frowning. Marcus could feel everyone's eyes on him as he finished the presentation. Very impressive, James Whitmore said when he was done. I think this merger will benefit both our companies greatly. Victoria touched Marcus's arm as everyone was leaving. We should celebrate. How about dinner tonight? I can't tonight. I have plans, his father overheard. Plans? What could be more important than dinner with the Whites? It's personal, Dad. Richard's eyes narrowed. Just don't do anything to jeopardize this merger, son. We've waited too long for this. Marcus walked back to his office, loosening his tie. His assistant, Janet, rushed in with a stack of papers. The legal team needs these signed by 5, and Mrs. Whitmore called to confirm the charity gala next week. Also, your mother wants to know if you're coming to Sunday dinner. Janet, clear my schedule after 1 o'clock today. Something's come up. At 1:30, Marcus changed into a casual shirt and slacks. He felt nervous, like he was going on a first date. In a way, he was. The diner was busy when he arrived. Angela was already there, sitting in a booth by the window. She was wearing jeans and a simple blue sweater, her braids pulled back neatly. She looked more beautiful than any of the society women he usually spent time with. You came, she said as he sat down. Of course I came. He wanted to reach across the table and take her hand, but he held back. You look wonderful. And you look tired. Rough meeting. My father showed up. He has a way of making me feel like I'm still 16 and disappointing him. Angela nodded. Some things really don't change. Remember when he caught us at that party junior year? How could I forget? He gave me a lecture about appropriate relationships and family responsibilities that lasted 3 hours. The waitress came and they ordered coffee. Angela stirred cream into hers just like she used to in college. Tell me about your son, Marcus said, her face lit up. Michael is amazing. He works so hard to get through school. Full scholarship to MIT just like I had to Columbia. He's been in California for his master's program, but he got a job offer back here in New York. That's why he's coming home today. To did it all on your own. His father wasn't in the picture. Left when he found out I was pregnant. She shrugged. But we managed. I worked 2 jobs while Michael was little. The cab company lets me set my own hours, which helped when he was in school. Marcus felt a wave of admiration and regret. While he'd been building his fortune and living in luxury, she'd been raising a child alone and working multiple jobs. I should have looked for you, he said quietly. After graduation, I've regretted letting you go every day since then. Angela's eyes softened. Marcus. His phone buzzed. A message from his father. Emergency board meeting called for 4:00 p.m. Whitmore raising concerns. Damn it, he muttered. Work calling. Yes. I'm sorry. I have to go. He hesitated. Angela, have dinner with me tomorrow night, please. She bit her lip. I don't know. Michael just got home. And bring him. I'd love to meet him. You want to have dinner with a cab driver and her son? What would your father say? Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. Her skin was warm against his. I don't care what my father says. Not anymore. I lost you once because I cared too much about what other people thought. I'm not making that mistake again. Angela looked at their joined hands. Okay, she said finally. Dinner tomorrow, but somewhere normal. Not one of your fancy restaurants. I know just the place. He smiled. Do you remember that little Italian restaurant in the village where we had our first date? Bella Luna. It's still there. Still there. 7 o'clock, she squeezed his hand. 7 o'clock as Marcus hurried back to his office, his phone buzzed again. This time it was Victoria Whitmore. Marcus, we need to talk. This merger is very important to both our families. Maybe we should discuss how to make it even more permanent. He ignored the message. Let his father and the Whites worry about their precious merger. For the first time in 25 years, Marcus felt truly alive again. In her cab that afternoon, Angela picked up a fare heading to JFK. As she drove, she thought about Marcus, about the way he'd looked at her across the diner table. She thought about their plans for tomorrow night. "You're crazy," she told her reflection in the rear-view mirror. "He lives in a different world." But her heart wasn't listening to reason. It was too busy remembering how right his hand had felt holding hers, just like it had 25 years ago. Angela waited at the airport arrival gate, checking her watch nervously. Michael's flight from San Francisco had landed 20 minutes ago. She smoothed down her shirt, wishing she'd had time to change after her shift. Finally, she saw him coming through the crowd. At 6 feet 2 inches, Michael towered over her now. But his smile was still the same one she'd loved since he was a baby. "Mom." He wrapped her in a big hug. "You look tired. Are you working too hard again? Look who's talking. Mr. Master's degree." She touched his face. "You've lost weight, haven't you been eating graduate school diet, Mom? Ramen noodles and coffee." As they walked to her cab, Michael told her about his new job at a tech startup in Manhattan. "The salary is amazing, Mom. First thing I'm doing is paying off those student loans." "You'll do no such thing. Those are my loans." "Our loans," he corrected. "And I'm paying them. Also, you're retiring from the cab company." No arguments. Angela thought about her coffee with Marcus earlier. "Actually, something happened today. I ran into someone from my past." "Oh." Michael loaded his bags into the trunk. "Who?" "Marcus Bennett." Michael stopped what he was doing. "Marcus Bennett, the CEO of Bennett Industries." "That Marcus Bennett. We dated in college," Angela said quietly. "For almost 2 years." "Wait, what?" Michael stared at her. "You dated a billionaire?" "He wasn't a billionaire then, just a boy I tutored in statistics who turned out to be something special." She hesitated. "He wants us to have dinner with him tomorrow night." "Us?" "Mom. What's going on?" "Nothing's going on. It's just dinner at the Italian restaurant where we had our first date." Michael's eyes narrowed. "You remember where you had your first date?" Before Angela could answer, her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Looking forward to tomorrow night. Been thinking about you all day." Michael caught her smile as she read it. "Mom, be careful. Rich guys like that, they don't usually have good intentions when it comes to women like us." "Women like us? You know what I mean. Working class and black." Angela's smile faded. "Marcus isn't like that. He never was." "Then why didn't it work out the first time?" She didn't answer. How could she explain to her son the pain and complexity of that time? The pressure from Marcus's family, the whispers and stares on campus, her own pride that wouldn't let her be the reason he lost everything. Meanwhile, across town, Marcus sat in his second board meeting of the day. Victoria Whitmore was presenting a counter-proposal to the merger terms. "Furthermore," she said, looking directly at Marcus, "we believe a more personal union between our families would strengthen this business relationship." Marcus felt his father's eyes on him. He knew what they wanted. A marriage of convenience to seal the corporate alliance. 6 months ago, he might have considered it. Now with Angela back in his life, the idea made him feel sick. "The terms as they stand are fair," he said firmly. "We don't need to complicate things with personal matters." "Don't be hasty, son," Richard Bennett cut in. "Victoria's suggestion has merit." "I said no, Dad." The room went quiet. Marcus Bennett never said no to his father. After the meeting, Richard followed Marcus to his office. "What's gotten into you? The Whites are offering everything we've worked for. Maybe I want more than just what you've worked for." "More? You're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. What more could you want?" Marcus thought of Angela's smile in the diner. Something real. His father's eyes narrowed. "What aren't you telling me?" "I have dinner plans tomorrow night." "Cancel them. We're having dinner with the Whiteses." "No, we're not." Marcus stood up. "I'm having dinner with Angela Washington and her son." Richard's face went pale. "Angela Washington? That scholarship girl from college? The one I was in love with? The one you threatened to destroy if I didn't end things? I did what was best for this family, for your future. No, you did what was best for the company. There's a difference." Marcus walked to the door. I'm leaving early. I have some shopping to do before tomorrow night. At home that evening, Angela helped Michael unpack. Her small apartment felt crowded with his bags, but her heart was full having him home. Tell me more about this Marcus Bennett, he said, sorting his laundry. What really happened between you two? Angela sat on his bed, picking up an old photo from his nightstand. It showed them at his high school graduation, both beaming with pride. We met sophomore year at Columbia. I was there on full scholarship, working 2 jobs to cover expenses. He was this handsome, rich boy who was failing statistics. She smiled at the memory. I tutored him. We fell in love, and for almost 2 years, nothing else mattered. Not our different backgrounds, not his family's disapproval, nothing. What changed? His father found out how serious we were. Threatened to cut Marcus off completely. Not just money. He would have lost his whole future, everything he'd worked for. She put the photo down. I couldn't let him give up his dreams for me. So, I ended it. Michael sat beside her. And now I'm a 50-year-old cab driver with graying hair and bills to pay. And he's still in love with you, Michael suggested gently. Angela thought about how Marcus had looked at her in the diner, how his hand had felt holding hers. It's complicated. Life's complicated, Mom, but maybe that's not always a bad thing. Her phone buzzed again. Another text from Marcus. Found something today that made me think of you. A first edition of Pride and Prejudice. Remember how you used to read it between classes? Angela smiled, tears in her eyes. He remembered after all these years, he remembered her favorite book. Mom. Michael was watching her face. Just promise me you'll be careful with your heart. Okay, I will. She hugged him tight. When did you get so wise? I had a good teacher. Later that night, Angela lay in bed, unable to sleep. Tomorrow she would have dinner with Marcus Bennett, the boy she'd loved, now a powerful man, the boy she'd given up to protect, now seemingly ready to risk everything to be with H.